And we're good. 41.
41.
Three Bros Podcast, where we read about things and get triggered and talk about it.
And where there's occasionally two bros.
Oh, yeah. There's two bros again. And I feel like shit. Anyways.
That's a great way to...
So, obviously...
Yeah, go on.
Taking a look at this article that I posted. Did you get time to read it? Or did
I
you skim
did.
it? Okay. So, the biggest thing that always burns me up, and it's not like the Democrats are immune to this either, but they always, like, you read an article like this and it's like, oh, Republicans are like, this is a real quote, there is not a bigger enemy on the domestic side than the debt and deficits. But they never talk about, like, what's the only thing they talk about in addressing the biggest enemy? It's always cuts. I'm never hearing Republicans say, like, oh, how about we cut and raise taxes on, like, sensible people that can pay for it. No. It's always we have to cut. And that's just that's the biggest thing that just burns me up every time I read stuff like this. It just makes me worry that we keep moving towards, like, one side does this and the other side does that, and that's the way it is. Because the Democrats are more like, I mean, I think the Democrats are more willing to cut than Republicans are to raise taxes, but they're still more to the other side, you know, of just, oh, raise taxes. It's like, all right, well, but who's going to pay those taxes? Like, who are we raising taxes on? I'm not interested in raising taxes on, like, lower classes in this country that are already burdened by, like, pretty large inequality. So it's like, so that's just always what burns me up. It's just always one thing. It's always, oh, let's just cut. We got to cut.
Well, their plan is to just cut entitlements, as far as I can tell.
Okay, well...
it's not going to happen. So they're essentially telling us that their plan is something that's never going to actually come to fruition.
Yeah, I know that. But still, what you say matters. Like, Jesus Christ, this Steve Womack guy from Arkansas, there's not a bigger enemy on the domestic side than the debt and deficits. Okay, that's a pretty strong statement. Like, enemies on the domestic side are obviously first and foremost issues that we should deal with. So I bet you if I ask Steve Womack, hey, how about we raise some taxes and cut some stuff? Oh, no, we can't raise taxes. Stifle growth. It's like, yo, nobody's raising taxes to the point where we're stifling growth. I'm so tired of that. Especially when, like, we got politicians telling us it's going to stifle growth. It's like, bro, before you cut their taxes, they were already making profits. Like, I don't understand what growth is being stifled. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, corporations in particular.
Yeah. Well, this leads me down a rabbit hole of my own ideals of, like, how much do you honestly need? Like, how much do you need to take before it's like, what else do you need, you know? So, but still, I wish Republicans specifically who are quoted in this article would think more about a balanced common sense solution. And honestly, Democrats too, like, they don't get away with, like, being better. So, but in the article, it also talks about, like, Democrats have little interest in addressing the debt burden, except as part of a larger deal, including tax increases, the sort of grand bargain that President Obama wanted. So if that's true, then, you know, it just sounds like we delve more and more as we move day by day into times where we're just, nobody wants to compromise anymore.
Right.
You know, those days are past us. And a lot of people would say that those days were past us in the Obama years too. I don't think so as much as now. Absolutely not. I just don't.
I don't know. I think it's pretty obvious how polarized we're getting in the past.
Right.
I feel like we're more polarized than we've been in a long time.
Right. And leadership matters. I mean, Trump doesn't help that.
Well, leadership matters, and unfortunately, Congress moves so slow, and it feels like we're so gridlocked.
How do we address that? I hear a lot of people say that. Yeah, it's tough. Because I do hear a lot of people say that, and I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? How do we address that? It's still something we need to fix if it is slow.
Well, it's like you can't require your politicians to have to work together. I mean, the politicians that are in office are there.
No, this is why I
put them there.
Yeah. Right, and this is why I support, you know, a lot more of the power especially in areas of government that need quicker decision making in smaller governmental hands. Like, if you're a federal entity trying to oversee 330 million people, and it's a part of the economy, it's a part of society, it's a part of whatever in the country that needs serious attention quickly a lot, then delegate it to smaller powers that be, so they can make these decisions faster. Like, it's just dumb that we, do some of the things we do. I don't have anything specific, but it's definitely dumb, some of the things we do at the federal level. It's just too big. It's too much.
Yeah.
So a lot of things you need to just like let them decide at the smaller levels.
I mean, to be fair, the debt is getting. I mean, there has to be some sort of give, right? Like, how high can we actually add to the debt before?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been asking that question for a long time, because it seems like we can just keep going and going and going. So it doesn't really make sense. So I don't really know. I just read articles like this and it triggers me, because I might be one of the few people in society that gets triggered when I don't see more working together. I just see division. I'm like, come on, like, we got to do this every time. Like, oh, jeez.
It's gonna be very interesting come November.
Yeah, dude, I can't even lie. Seeing a Supreme Court, seeing Justice Kennedy retire makes me honestly want to just help, just like go out there and no shit, like just try to help Democrats win things. Like, oh my goodness. I get the updates from the local Democrat in the rural areas here that's trying to unseat a Republican. Dude, not that anybody, like, I think at least there's a lot of us that sit around and, we have our political ideals and such, but it doesn't really matter right now, like, what the Democrats stand for. Like, I just don't want Trump to appoint another Supreme Court justice. I don't think that's a good idea or a good thing. So, I mean, the only way you stop them is by filling up Congress. But like I said, the Senate map is really friendly to Republicans this year, so it gets tough. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's no way Democrats could block it for the next 2.5 years. So
nah, they have to win in November. They can probably make it till then, I think. I saw an article like right before you got on that said, like, this is the Dems plan to like try to block it. And I'm like, ooh, that's fascinating, but I didn't read it just yet. So, because I don't know how they would do that. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be longer than the blockage of Merrick Garland?
How long was that? Scalia died in February of an election year. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be much longer.
Yep, it'd be. Wait, what? No. Well, the key word here is election year. I don't think that, like, the Senate is just as important in confirming Supreme Court justices as the president. So any election year matters. So if they can stall for a shorter amount of time than the Republicans did last time and win majority of the Senate, then there's nothing the Republicans can do.
Yeah, but then again, they'd have to wait until...
There's a lot more power in the president for that, for sure. But it can still be done on the other side. So poll numbers are looking really great for Democratic candidates in Arizona and Tennessee, which are pretty extraordinary. So I hesitate to say that. I'm sure you heard some people say that there might be a blue wave. I hesitate to say that, but it's definitely going to be a good year for Democrats, for sure. It just depends on how good of a year they have, because the map doesn't really play well for them. So we'll see what happens. I can't help but think when you talk about, because the games of politics definitely fascinates me too, obviously. Because I look at polls every day. Like, I look at the latest polls that come out literally every day. It just fascinates me. But like, me talking about a short-term plan for the country being vote in Democrats just to stop Trump, like, still feels like there's no good answer at all to like society. Like, we're fucked, Like, what are we gonna do? We have these two options. It's like a classic South Park episode. You remember that?
Douche and a turd.
Yeah. Ay, ay, ay. So,
I mean, when does this change, dude?
I don't know.
When do people stop being so jaded with their politics?
I think we. So I was reading an article today on. I need to post it real quick. I can Google it real fast. I was reading an article today on excitement to vote this election year between Democrats and Republicans. And I was figuring, like, if I could read the numbers of excitement levels now and compare them to other midterm election years past, just see like where the excitement level is, because a lot of times, like I'm sure we've talked about many a time here on the pod that like politics goes in waves in this country in the last 20 years. Like it's Republicans, then it goes back to Democrats, and it's Republicans.
Right.
So a lot of years, a lot of midterm years, you'll see that the party that didn't win the last year gets a big boost, or the party that doesn't have the president in power gets a big boost in midterms. Like pretty much, like I think it's like 35 out of 38 times, party that doesn't have the presidency gains in the midterms. So okay, so I go back to 2014 and 2010, and 2006 even. I went back to midterm years, and I looked at it, and just like the results of those years, the excitement in Democrats and Republicans were flipped, right? Like one year, the Republicans' excitement to vote this November was really high in the polls, and they did well. The other year, when George W. Bush was in power in 06, Democratic excitement was really high for common sense reasons, right? Like your party's not in power, you feel threatened, right? You're going to be more motivated to vote, I think, at least.
Right.
And dude, this time there's something about the culture of Trump and the personality of Trump. Democrats are more excited than they've ever been. Democrats are fired up because Trump definitely offends a lot of them, right? They're really afraid of what their country looks like with him. So there, I think it said they were at their highest levels ever. But the crazy thing is Republicans were not that far behind. And out of the people who said that they were excited, who were Republicans, pretty much all of them were like strong Trump supporters. So these people's energy is just like such a great political weapon for Trump. That's why he's still Trump, and he's still everything hasn't fallen apart for him yet. He's done so many questionable, weird things that like every other president, it just wouldn't fly. But he just gets away with it because, and I'm not even trying to say that like I think the persona's fake and I don't really buy into it, but you know, it's not for me to judge them as to why they like Trump, but they do, and they really love him. And they just, their passion still burns. Like, it's crazy, dude. So I think there's a lot more paying attention to politics in America, which is a good thing, because I think a lot of normal people who might vote independently minded and just vote for the less crazy and make probably better, more rational decisions, they don't really vote that much because they just get jaded, like you said.
Yeah.
So hopefully just getting fired up on both sides just gets more people to participate. So
I guess we'll see where it gets us. I mean,
yeah,
November is going to be a real good indicator of where we're headed. Can you imagine if Trump won another one?
In 2020, he could win again. He could.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen any evidence from his poll numbers that his supporters are so just jaded about him that he wouldn't. So, I mean, going into 2012, for Obama, a lot of people definitely thought Romney had a pretty good shot at winning. Now, he ended up losing, not big time, but by a pretty large margin in the Electoral College. But I think the polls before, so the polls from, I look at polls too much, by the way, full disclosure. The polls from 2008 to 2012, as all presidents do, his numbers steadily declined, you know? So he gets to 2012, I think he's around like 46, 47. He went into the election with like 46, 47% approval. It definitely ticked up before the election, which helped, and he still won. So as long as these hardcore Trump supporters can still hover around 40, 41, 42, and skeptical Republicans are turned off by a really liberal Democratic candidate, which I think is going to happen. I think that party is really starting to be pretty progressive. Whether I disagree or not doesn't matter. I think that's just where we're headed. And yeah, you can swipe enough independently normal-minded Republicans to vote for Trump again if they see a really progressive candidate and they're just turned off. Like, I can see that happening. So the Democratic Party's got to make a decision. Do they want to be competitive, or I I mean, I think they made that decision in 2016, and they thought they picked a competitive one, and they still lost. So politics is all kinds of a mess these days.
Yeah,
but it's fascinating. So,
oh, it's definitely fascinating. Unfortunately, it does affect us.
Yeah, I know. I think another good topic is just like, especially along the lines of how government takes forever to do things. It's just like voter participation. We can be doing a lot more.
It always astounds me, the 18 to 34 group. Like 5% vote.
So
that's crazy.
We make national holidays for every. Most national holidays actually like observe no crap national holidays. They're justified, right? There's Labor Day, there's Christmas, there's Thanksgiving, there's all these things. Well, I just don't know why we can't make voting day a national holiday. Period. End of story. And just why aren't we taking steps to make sure more people vote? You know what I'm saying? Like more people can just vote. We have higher participation. You know, everywhere I turn, it feels like these days a lot of Republicans are trying to stifle votes with these like voting ID laws and stuff. But let's not kid ourselves. Every party in the history of this country, Democrats, Republicans included, and others, you know, it's always in their interest to like stifle vote somehow. Like there's always a way you can gerrymander or play with the numbers to make your side have a better advantage, you know? Ethics be damned, right? Like, oh, we're just trying to win.
Sure. I mean,
so Jesus, I hate to be tinfoil hat Caleb for this episode, but he's missing. So okay, I'm gonna go full tinfoil. That's fine. But there's got to be powers that be that just like don't see voting expansion or having everyone vote as a good idea somewhere. Like,
well, that's existed since the inception of our country.
Yeah.
I mean,
in this day and age of public fervor, like we can't get enough people to.
It is crazy, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like 5% is an insanely low amount of people. Is that how many voted in this past presidential election in the 18 to 34?
No, it was last year. So like in an off federal election year. So last year there was no federal. Well, yeah, last year there was no federal elections. So every 2 years there's federal elections, and consequently, obviously, turnout is much higher on federal election. Like there's just more, you know, turnout's highest during presidential years for obvious reasons, right? And then turnout's higher on midterm years than off years like 2017 or 2019, because there's just either local or maybe even state elections. But a lot of times states do it the same year as the federal year. So last year was just like an off year. I know here in Erie County, we only voted on like county executives and stuff. That was it. But still, I mean, it still makes a difference. Local government does a lot more than people think, a whole lot more. People just see the news and the mainstream media, and that's fine. So do I. And we breathe in federal news and like news on a larger scale for the country a lot more. But local politics does a lot of things. So, you know,
46%.
What?
Sorry, I had to find that. 46% of the 18 to 29 voted in the 2016 presidential election.
And what was the age range? 18 to 29?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was one of those. Were you one of those?
I was one of those.
Yeah.
That's still very low, though, isn't it? Especially considering how many people comprise of that 18 to 29.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bad. And you know, honestly, I talk to a lot of my friends who are more politically inclined about this, and they always focus on, we need to get more millennials voting. We need to get more millennials voting. We need to get more. And it's like, okay, yeah, we should have 100%. We should have more millennials vote. That's important. But honestly, we should have everybody vote too. Like everybody who is a citizen of this country should vote. You know, I think I'm the kind of person that it's still, if I saw that there was only like 30% representation from like 30 to 50-year-olds, I'd be like, that's bad. Let's fix that. Like, let's get them to participate, because we don't do enough. We do enough teaching on, I don't think we do enough teaching on the importance of public service, not in a communistic way. Don't get me wrong, but like civil, civil service is a big deal. And I don't know, this country, we don't do enough promoting it and like teaching it to kids from a young age. So that's a part of the curriculum. And so consequently, people just get detached and they don't care because we're also a rich country. So we can just detach and not have to worry about it.
Sure. Yeah.
The minute these people are hungry, they're going to be bitching up the walls.
I mean, I suppose that's fair. When people are comfortable, they don't feel so compelled to vote.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me, though, because there are a lot of huge problems that face this country that would get decided real quick if more people just participated. I mean, young people especially.
The struggle every day is not to get jaded. I mean, it's true.
Man, write that one down.
I had a customer come in today, and he showed me his medical marijuana license, New York State. I had never seen one before.
Oh, there you go.
I know. I'm not going to call him out by name, but someone we're related to has one, right? I think.
Yes.
Did he show you it too? Right, something like that. But I wasn't there when he showed you guys, so
he did show me. I think. Does it look like an ID card, like a driving license?
It looks like a school ID.
Right. Yes. Like, yeah.
It's like green on the outside border or something like that. Like it's weird, but I mean, so that's a positive step forward in one area of society and politics. So I say it's a struggle every day not to get jaded. I say it like that because I think at some point in my life, especially since I've already developed a lot of the structure for it, I definitely want to give going into that realm a shot for sure. At least a shot. If I fail, I fail. So be it. And I've already built kind of structure and website for it. So, and just like a certain look for it. So, struggle is not to get jaded. So you can, try to implement some of the ideals you have yourself, win some support. Because otherwise, just give up and detach? No. So most people do. That's why they don't vote.
They need something to believe in, Cyril.
Like, couldn't the federal government run commercials on TV? Like, just bombard TV commercials and like just a big marketing campaign for,
hey, go vote.
Hey, download this app and it's a secure app. You'll be able to vote fucking anywhere you want on election day. And oh, by the way, it's a federal holiday. Nobody has to work. Fuck it. Like, let's do those things.
No, apps can get hacked, dude. You know how long it took for me to vote, though? I was in and out I want to say 5 minutes. Really?
You're going to say too long. No, it wasn't long for me. It
wasn't long at all. It's such a painless process.
I agree, but, your experience doesn't reflect everybody's experience. But I think we don't do a bad job in this country. Of course not. Don't get me wrong. We can do a lot better, though. A whole lot better. And I think if you're a lower income worker, kind of stuck in poverty, you got like a lower income job. A lot of those jobs are restricting and controlling. Like you try to work at McDonald's and you're just like, hey, can I get 30 minutes to go vote? You're like the assistant manager or higher, I'm not saying that like people get controlled. And I guarantee you there's laws on the books where if they try to restrict their right to vote or like not let them go, I'm sure that's illegal. But it's just those little things that do suppress vote from certain sections of society that aren't for the lower income one, right? So now they're not as represented. So we just make it so everybody could vote, that's all. Because I hear myself talk and it kind of sounds like I'm saying like I'm not saying there's voter suppression or like people out to get anybody. I don't think so. I think it's just the way we set things up is not conducive for everybody. And that doesn't make any sense when everybody has the right to vote if they're a US citizen. Like that just doesn't fucking make sense. So
yeah.
Do simple things. Make it a holiday.
Make it a holiday. I'm
create
down
an
for
app.
That. I don't know about creating the app.
All you have to do is on election day, click the app. It opens and it just gives you your election ballot, and then you submit. Boom.
There's potential for abuse there.
Okay, there is, but there's also potential for some great things as far as getting people to participate more. Sure, the responsibility to protect that is so high, and the government better pay top dollar for the protection of that data, and not necessarily the protection of that data, but so that it doesn't get hacked, you know. But still, man, are we gonna say, oh, just because there's a few bad things, we should just not use it? I don't know. I guess you can debate it, and that's fair, but I see a lot of benefit from it. There's got to be a way that we can at least sit down and talk and figure it out, you know, with experts or something. Jesus.
I feel like the only way that any political party that has control would make any changes in terms of getting more people to vote, they would only be compelled to do so if they could target a specific group of people. You know what I mean? Like people that they know are going to support them rather than just carte blanche giving more people access to that vote.
That's why it does no good to throw one party under the bus. They all do it.
Oh, sure. You got to stay in power, baby.
I don't even blame them. Like, we're human beings. We have biases, but I don't understand why we can't set up society to try to fight those biases. Because they're clearly not helpful to society. Come on. Like, the wild amount of conflict of interest that comes out of the Trump admin fucking blows my mind. Like, I'm just like, dude, one thing of 20,000 things, but still, it's like, God, dude, what the heck's going on? He's got advisors on the payroll as public employees going on Fox News promoting Ivanka Trump's clothing line while she's an unpaid employee of the president, who's the president of the United States of America, who works in the public sector.
Like, and has top secret access.
I don't even give a shit about that. You shouldn't be promoting your brand in the public sector because you represent, and I know Trump forgets this a lot, but he represents everybody. You can't, like, you represent what we've come together and built as a society as far as our government. You shouldn't be taking that and misusing that for your own personal gain. Like, holy crap, dude, this stuff isn't complicated. You look terrible. And then they just don't care, you know? I'm just like, come on. Oh, jeez. I think a year ago, or on the campaign trail, I probably can go back and listen to old pods where I get fired up about it. I'm so sad. That's just like, I hear the way I talk about it and I'm just like, it is what it is. We did this to ourselves. Like, here we go.
In 2016, the Pew Research Center found that millennials surpassed baby boomers to become the largest living generation in the United States.
Yeah. There's more millennials than baby boomers. Absolutely. I knew that.
I'm saying when millennials come to that voting power, we're really going to be the ones at the wheel making big decisions. So
I agree, but here's the thing about that.
We're going to see what happens when
age. What way do they trend? It seems like I feel like they trend conservatively. So I think do I have, if I had to predict, which I don't like doing, but if I had to predict what millennials will do, I'm hoping that they do leave some sort of a positive impact. But you've got to temper expectations because the older we get, the more jaded we get as human beings. It just is what it is. Some of us can, dude. It's true.
Preaching optimism here at Three Bros Podcast.
Well, hang on. Do you want, as we discuss solutions to problems, do you want to live in realism or do you want to just live in delusional optimism? I mean, you tell me, because I'll go either one. You know, people get jaded and they get more conservative and they start to hang on to what's theirs. And that's just the cycle of life. I don't even blame those people. I will be that to some degree. We'll see, you know. There are some wonderful people who maybe never get jaded, but that's just not what normal human beings do. So I know that whole spiel kind of associates being jaded with conservatism, but that's not even that wrong. I don't even think conservatives could disagree with that. Tough to refute that. Conservatism is traditionalism. Sure. It's more the whole like, yeah, like I don't want to say
up by the bootstraps.
Yeah, right.
You've been dealt a hand, deal with it.
Right, exactly. So,
right. No, I get what you're saying. It's just
so we'll see what happens. I think we'll take steps forward on. You know, I think the digital and internet age has allowed us to take real steps forward on things that were such travesties that just being connected in this way easily toppled those travesties. Like, I mean, we really turned the corner on gay marriage and weed, especially in the past. Like, it was a
very
quick overnight change. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people underestimate in this day and age because for so many years it was very clear, it was very obvious what the general attitude was, what you were expected to believe. And then in the last 10 years in particular on gay marriage and marijuana, we've moved so quickly on that. It's interesting because the conversation this day has blown completely past gay people and has landed on transgenders now. Like, gay people are just, you know, quote unquote normal, I suppose now. Like, it is what it is. People have moved past their hangups with that for the most part, I think. But that moved so quickly.